Welcome, jewelers. Welcome all. Episode 4 here of the Jewelers Podcast. We have, as always, my great friends, Agentic, State, and Squanchy, the Guildmasters. Say hello, guys.
What's up, everybody?
Nice, beautiful day in Texas again. Joy recording podcasts on just great weather, great vibes all around since the launch of Crystalvale. Got a lot of stuff to get into.
We do, and it's going to be a great podcast here. We have the launch of Crystalvale. Everyone's super stoked. A whole lot of moving around of funds, and we'll go over how much exactly was into the transfers, and it's absolutely insane to see the volume that we've picked up here. But we'll kick things off, of course, with Crystalvale. Everyone's stoked, and a lot of people want to know what our plans were going in. We went over a little bit, but what we actually executed, as you know, hours, the days leading up, the hours leading up to the launch, a lot of changes were made, reallocation of emissions and stuff like that. So people's game plans were changing by the hour in anticipation. But so who wants to kick this off? I know we're all excited to go over, but
I gotta go first. I'm too excited. I can't. I had so much fun playing the airdrop. It was so awesome to see everybody speculating, making moves on Twitter. And when the leading up to the airdrop, watching the price go way up of Crystal, and then as soon as the airdrop dropped, watching that big nuke red candle down, and then it getting bought right back up. It was super cool. It was super fun. So I guess I'll talk about what I did and what my strategy ended up being. I keeping it pretty simple, and to be honest, I did nuke or did sell my airdrop when I first got it. I offloaded my airdrop at like $30 per crystal, so obviously that wasn't optimal. But hey, I needed to hedge. I have a lot of money in this game, and this was a good opportunity for me to get some cash on the sidelines so I could make a decision here. And I was talking to Agentic about this before we started the podcast up. I might take that USDC I cashed out and pair it with the remaining amount of crystal I'm getting vested to me and throw that in the crystal USDC pool. We got a lot of cool things about the crystal USDC pool we're going to touch on later in the podcast, but I don't have any money in that farm yet. The farms I ended up going into, the part of the airdrop I didn't sell, I put in the crystal jewel pool, and then I also have some in the crystal AVAX pool. Not much, just a little bit, but I do want to add to that crystal AVAX pool here as time goes on. And I was so against the USDC crystal pool at the beginning because of a permanent loss and things like that. But I'll tell you what, my tune is starting to change towards that pool a little bit, and I am thinking about maybe making that one of my largest farms. Obviously, what you have to realize is when you pick the Crystal USDC pool, you're kind of limiting your upside with IL, but you're also kind of, depending on what you view as protection, you're kind of viewing yourself kind of a more protective position to the downside. So, because with the IL, you end up with more USDC, and when the price is going up, you obviously end up with more USDC. I'm sorry, you'll get less USDC, more crystal. So if you're bullish crystal long term, that's not necessarily bad IL for you as you're getting more of the crystal asset. But as the price goes up, you're getting less crystal, more USDC. So, it's just a different way to look at it. But as of right now, I'm comfortably positioned in the crystal jewel pool, crystal AVAX pool, and the X jewel pools, all printing me money, all that going over there. Now, I saw someone tweet this out before I got on the podcast today, and I thought this was interesting. I definitely want to hear what you guys think about it, but he was talking about taking his crystal when the time's right, claiming it, and then bridging that over to Serendale, putting that in the Serendale Gardens. Agentic, I know that's kind of been your strategy too, but I just want to see what you guys think about that. But that's where I'm positioned, and that's how I'm playing it right now. In terms of percentages, definitely largest pool I'm in is Jewel X Jewel. And then definitely the second largest would be Crystal Jewel, and then the smallest one I have right now is Crystal AVAX. And I still have all my Serendale Gardens. I didn't touch those throughout this whole thing. And I'm really impressed with the way my Serendale Gardens have been performing.
All right. Yeah, I'll go next. So I had a totally opposite plan from what Squanch did. When Crystalvale launched, I did not move anything over to Crystalvale. I kept everything in the Serendale Gardens. Um, for my wallet size, just having 95% locked rewards didn't seem like the move for me. I've been earning really steady rewards in the Serendale Gardens and being able to compound that interest, those rewards, just throw them back in the gardens and watching them grow. And I was noticing that the volume in the gardens in Serendale were drastically decreasing as the Crystalvale launch occurred, and the APRs were going way up. And we saw $30 million get transferred in the first hour of the bridge being open to CV. And right now we have over $527 million sitting in the Crystalvale Gardens, so over $500 million. Which with what the current APRs are in Crystalvale, like the Crystal USDC Garden sitting at over 5,800%, all the Crystal pairs sitting over 500%, and the Jewel X Jewel still sitting well over 3,000. We're gonna have more buy pressure for Crystal. People want to get into those gardens. They want that extremely high APR. People are extremely long-term bullish on this game. They don't mind holding that 95% locked rewards, and people with big bags, they're going to get a decent chunk of even the 5% unlocked rewards, straight to, be able to do whatever they want with it. So that's not what I did, of course. I just sat in the Serendale Gardens. I liquidated my crystal as soon as I got it airdropped, and I liquidated it into Jewel and threw it into the gardens in Serendale and just had it start working for me. These APRs in Serendale are extremely high. We have a really good, the Jewel 1 is sitting near 500% for the last several days. We have a very good unlocked to locked reward ratio. Right now I'm sitting at 61% unlocked to 39% locked. So I'm getting most of my rewards just straight liquid and being able to just compound them. And that's the route I went. It's not financial advice, but I just prefer having the liquid money and being able to do whatever I want with it. So that's kind of the approach I did. And, I look forward to talking about why we're seeing the Crystal USDC garden look so lucrative, and why some people may be changing their tunes on the stable coins. Also, I did want to mention that for APRs, I did not expect them to be as high as they are in Crystalvale. I expected to see somewhere between 800 to 1,200%, and well, that melted my face because they're over 5,000. So, but I also did not expect the Serendale Gardens to be as high. Serendale Gardens I expected to be near 400%, and we're seeing Jewel 1 near 500%. So pleasant surprises here for that I saw, and I'm just really glad with the play I made. I'm very satisfied with it. How about you, Mega?
Yeah, so me personally, I love both your guys' plans, of course. I'm always I was always changing up to the end of the up to the launch, So I wasn't I was set in stone, I thought, and then of course you see about what 2 hours, an hour before the launch, you see APRs skyrocketing on Crystalvale. I mean, I'm gonna throw up the screenshot at about an hour here, I believe, before the launch of 100,000 plus in Crystal USDC. So there's a lot to consider. I love personally. I love the tactic by Agentic because the unlocked you can't pass up that percent. And what did we raise? Almost 200% from about a week ago. I think we were sitting at
Yeah,
like 300% or so. So
we're
that's
sitting at
insane.
225. We were sitting at like 225.
225. Wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
almost 300% increase. I think that's amazing. Now, I did want to ask you before I get into my plan. Um, we saw the locked crystal, a few locked crystal marketplaces opening up already. Now, I know the 95% is part of the reason that you stayed in Serendale with conviction. Does this change your view in any way, being able to sell it a little early? Do you think you'd allocate any funds there?
Uh,
So So I've heard mixed things on this, and I've heard that the devs are not going to allow that, and
Right,
that
because it is third party, real quick. We want to say it is third party. It's not DeFi Kingdom's team doing anything like that, but go on.
okay. So okay. So is that lock crystal going to be tradable?
I saw what I saw is, and I didn't look into it or anything like that. Is I saw someone tweet about someone finding the contract address, as well as I believe there was a server or something doing basically escrow service that they were previously doing, but in the form of locked crystal. I don't know if it was if it even worked. Like, I do not recommend it, of course. I am one to say if it's peer to peer things, especially wait for the team to release it, as well as unless it's someone you completely trust and but there's always the risk because it's not even a thing that the team has said is possible yet. So I do not advise it, but it is a third party that is doing it, and I saw a few tweets about it. I'm not completely sure, but
Well, my approach, and I'm not trying to interrupt Agentic here, is that like I wouldn't view the lock crystal, uh, man, just because like look at the markdown on the current lock jewel market, right? So I wouldn't be farming locked crystal with the intention of selling that locked crystal off. You're just selling it at such a discounted price, like it's not even worth it.
right,
You may as well just be farming in Serendale if your goal is to farm the X crystal, which might not even be liquid, and the price that it will be liquid at is going to be like 1/3 of the value of crystal max. So I don't know. I don't think that the lock like intentionally getting locked crystal with the plans to offload it is something I would do personally. Just because I've watched the locked jewel market and I'm like, dude, these are just insanely low prices. I would never sell my locked jewel at these prices.
right,
Yeah, I just for me, it just makes more sense if you want to have liquid, liquid crypto. Why not just go into Serendale if you're, because you're going to be selling like that locked crystal at such a discount. I guess it depends, how big your bag is. If you're, producing so much locked crystal, so much, at such a high rate, I don't know. It's tough to say. I I don't have a bag that big, so it's hard for me to comprehend maybe what the strategy would be there. Um,
Too much uncertainty with it, in my
right.
opinion,
yeah, yeah,
for me to take a position on it or to implement that as part of my strategy.
Yeah, because you're definitely losing probably at least a half to two-thirds of your
Yeah.
like overall
hmm
value. You know what I mean, versus the price at the current moment. So just wondering because I know you're at the moment strictly in Serendale, so I just want to run that by you real quick. But yeah, I personally I offloaded my crystal immediately, the airdropped crystal. Sold it around 35 and bought back in around 20. Um, and paired a nice bit with of that. Split it between crystal and USDC, a little bit that I had available ready for the pair. So I threw in comparison to my X Jewel and Jewel pool, I'm probably about 60% to 65% in X Jewel and Jewel, maybe and I'd say probably 30 or so percent in Crystal USDC. Personally, I of course don't have a large bag, but I am trying to just take advantage of those APRs. Even though a lot of it is locked, I am very bullish on the long term. I'm going to be around. I guarantee in a year to play this game more because there's only going to be more things that are coming out. So my idea was, you know what, I'll sit, I'll wait, I'll lock more. I have a nice little bit of locked um, Jewel on Serendale, so same idea. We're waiting, and that'll come eventually. But I still love the idea to keep it in the Serendale. I was just I'd say it's almost a greedier method to move into Crystalvale with a small bag because there's no guarantee you're not really getting that much. I mean, the pools are amazing, don't get me wrong, but I'm not getting a lot of liquid crystal right off the bat, you know. So, but it's still beneficial. I'm still loving the pools over there. But I guess next subject that we can get into, guys, would be the. I mean, we kind of touched on it already, but overall, were the Crystalvale and Serendale APRs higher or lower than you guys expected?
Well, real quick before I answer this, you're a freaking Chad for selling your airdrop and then buying it back lower. My balls were too tiny for that move. As I did have the opportunity, it was funny. Agentic was upstairs, I was downstairs. We were screaming at each other. I'm like, dude, I could buy back my airdrop right here. And then freaking Crystal was at like $17. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna buy it back. I'm just gonna let it chill. So I missed a big opportunity there, but it was still fun, still a good time. But just to see that you executed that, Chad,
Yeah,
base.
something on that real quick is I wasn't going to I was honestly getting even greedier than I expected. Like I wanted to wait. I was like, you know what, this might hit 10. Like we might even see a little bit lower under 15s. And I was actually working. I had a shift 9 to 4 that day, and I was like I have to get back eventually. I took about 15 off so I could go and just sit on my computer during this moment. And I was like, I got to get back here soon. So I believe it was like 5 or 10 minutes later, it was down to 20s or so. And I was just like, you know what? Let me buy half of the USDC that I or half of the crystal that I sold for USDC. Let me put about half of that and buy crystal at 20s. And then if it does go lower and I'm right, I'll buy more in. But if it doesn't, I still got hopefully value and hopefully we see an increase in the short term. And it did. I did not think it was going to go as high as it did. But man, it is just it's crazy. Super bullish.
Nice
Yeah.
job, man. Now, okay, you have something to say because I was gonna jump into the APR's
Whatever.
expectations.
All right, real quick, I want to say, I expect to see Crystal stay at around $30 to $40 in that range for a while. With it's going to correlate with how high the APRs are in Crystalvale, because if those APRs stay that high, there's going to just be insane buy pressure for people wanting to throw into those gardens over there. So, I don't expect there to be any kind of massive dip. I expect people buying Crystal as soon as they can, and Jewel will probably sit around the same price. So I think the arbitrage play for me was to liquidate the Crystal, and it will eventually go down in price as those APRs in Crystalvale decrease eventually. But that
I
was
think
my thought process.
the first big nuke we're gonna see in Crystal is when we approach the end of the Gen Zero snapshot. That's when we're gonna see a big nuke in the price of Crystal, in my opinion.
I
Um,
don't know, because people are going to want to summon, and they're going to need Crystal to do it.
Yeah, I mean, see,
Yeah.
the team's doing a good job of not introducing too much sell pressure into the market and also keeping demand high. So they've done really good with this. And I guess what I learned from all this is I underestimated the early amount of supply of crystal that would be available, and I didn't realize since so few of it would be available, it would cause the price to go as high as it did. Caught me off guard. But still happy with the way I played this airdrop and everything and how everything's transpired this far. But definitely that caught me off guard. As they just did it. They were just very delicate with how they did it.
Yeah, very true.
Right.
I think we're all satisfied with our plays. I think we all did a phenomenal job as well. Um, but yeah, what were you gonna say, Agentic? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, if Squanch wanted to talk about his APR expectations,
Oh no,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, they were higher. I mean, Serendale APR was higher than I thought it would go up to in all the pools. Same with the Crystalvale launch. Those APRs are much higher than I was
What
anticipating.
numbers were you expecting,
Oh
roughly?
man, not around 1,000%
Mm-hmm.
APR in the Jewel X Jewel pool. And obviously it's four times that,
Yeah.
5 times that. So, but either way. Never going to complain about higher APRs, especially when most of it's locked and it's not overflooding the market, and not inflating the token to nothing.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I thought they were much higher than I expected. I was around the same range. I'd say around 1,500, hoping for the best. But man, we're sitting at almost a 5K, or we were sitting at max of 5K per 5,000% emissions on XJoule and Joule, the single staking. No impermanent loss, of course. We know basically, and then about it's currently at 3,700%, which is phenomenal. Sarandale, like we said, 500% roughly. So with that 61%, you're getting almost, I believe it's 300% unlocked, which is a little under 1% unlocked a day, which is phenomenal. Um, all the other pools, Crystal, USDC, Crystal AVAX, and what's the last one? Crystal Jewel in Crystalvale. They're all at 5,000% plus, so it's phenomenal. A lot of people are getting basically printing money, like you said. It's amazing to see.
What I want to do here is I want to steal this time right here because I get a lot of people, and this does still flow with our uh, show sheet here, but a lot of people DM me on Twitter or Discord and like, hey, I have a small wallet. How do I get started? What's the best thing to do? Well, I've been thinking about this very long and very hard, and I had some people tweeting about the locked jewel market, and it's something that I followed when it first came out. Kind of, I peek on it every now and then, but I'm telling you guys right now, if you've got $4,000 or less and you want to get into this game, I'm gonna bring up an approach that you may have not thought of, or no one else is really talking about, and that's buy the locked jewel. I mean, I sent you some screenshots, Mega. I'm sure you'll throw those up for the viewers, but man, there are some opportunities for even if you have a small wallet to buy locked jewel under $4 a jewel. Guys, I'm not a genius, but I think jewel bottomed at 380. All right, and I think the bottom's in. And guys, we talk about this all the time. Anybody who's ever traded or been in crypto, it's hard to buy bottoms. It's impossible to buy bottoms, right? It's very difficult to do. And look, with this locked jewel, you've got the opportunity to buy the bottom of jewel in hindsight, right? So these locked jewel, they start unlocking in July. This is 3 months from now, which is an eternity in crypto. I get it, but guys, this locked jewel when it comes out, it's going to be worth more than the $3 or $4 you're paying for it now. So I think it's a very easy way for those who have no exposure right now to Jewel to get exposure to Jewel and get in the game. My advice to you would be buy some lock Jewel. Try to get it under $4 or $5 per Jewel. Then go ahead and invest a couple $100s in some heroes. Start playing the game that way. Start collecting the game inventory. Start saving your jewel. Maybe the jewel you mine, throw it in the gardens. Maybe you have paychecks and you can add into the gardens, because that's probably the second best way to get involved in the game is start putting money in the gardens and compounding it and things like that. So there's a lot of different ways to consider, but I just wanted to be vocal here about this lock jewel because I think this is like a buying opportunity. If you're bullish on this game like me or Gentic or Mega or anybody else who's getting involved in this community, I think you'll look back at this and just be like, damn, I could have bought Lock Jewel for 365 and now it's unlocking 3 months later at 12, 13, $14, right? And then in the meantime, you were mining it the whole time. So I think there's a lot of good ways to get involved in the game here. If you have a slower, steadier, long-term approach to the game. Oh, and also, I think a big advantage to this approach to the game is, man, it's going to really mute your volatility, right? You're not going to be upset about losing money. It's locked jewel, right? That you bought at a discount, right? So I just don't see this. This is a good way to get in the game and not have to stomach a lot of the volatility you might experience in the gardens or in other ways. So I think this is a slam dunk play. I'm probably going to take some of my crystal airdrop and invest it in Lock Jewel. We'll see what I end up doing, but I've got my eyes on this market, and there are some great buying opportunities. It's not only big wallets that are offloading huge amounts of Lock Jewel. There are people offloading 400 Lock Jewel. 137 lock jewel, 106 lock jewel, 800 lock jewel. I'm looking right here at Fox Escrow.1 right now, 108 or 106 jewel for $2,800. Dude, I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer, and I think it's a great way for newer players to get involved. And I think it's an approach that a lot of the other new players are gonna miss, and I think it'll put you ahead of them. What do you guys think about that strategy? And do you guys watch the lock jewel market at all?
I love the strategy personally. Um, I think that's like you said, no one's really talking about that right now. I mean, there is chatter, of course, with the lock jewel, especially previous months. There was more, but a lot of whales were talking about it more specifically. But to get into the game and like you said, July. I don't know the unlock schedule specifically for myself, but that's gonna start unlocking in July. I know they use the word linearly. Linearly, that's all I know. But still, at almost a 2.5 times the current price, or less than, excuse me, divided by
Yeah,
2.5 times. That's
yeah.
insane. I'm looking
It
at them now. The ones you sent me, $3.50 a jewel.
Yep, and some of these new players, like, okay, let's say you do buy right here at Jules at like 9, $10 today, and it goes down to 6. Like, that's gonna feel shitty, But like, if you bought the lock jewel and it goes down to 6, you're not gonna give a damn. In fact, you're probably gonna buy the dip
I
on the $6 jewel. So I don't know. It just kind of protects you from that and it being down on that initial investment. And if you're anything like me and you think this game is going to go to upwards of $10 billion market cap, the lock jewel here is no brainer.
Right. Unless you have conviction, where you want to put the jewel, if you're buying heroes, if you're buying this, that, going straight in, if you fully want to go into the Serendale Gardens or Crystalvale Gardens, then yes, of course, buy the jewel straight up. But if your game plan is just simply to either just hold the jewel, even maybe to just put it in the bank, unless there's some special airdrop you're targeting, or you really have conviction that the jeweler slash bank is a move. I think buying, like you said, I think this is a no brainer. I mean, if your plan is to hold for longer than 4 or 5 months, um,
Yeah, it's a layup.
it's a layup for sure. What do you think, Agentic?
Yeah, I think that it's a huge galaxy brain play. Especially, I think it's a very good play because it helps those that are tempted to liquidate capital and maybe real inopportune times. If it's locked, they can't touch it, and they can buy some miners, mine it. They can play the game, which is that's the whole one of the big points is it's not just to make money, but it's to have fun doing it, right? And if you can have heroes, do the mining, get inventory from mining such as runes and eggs, and then have your heroes level up as you're unlocking jewel, and then I think like what throwing that jewel into the gardens that you're mining, it's a very very contrarian play that I think definitely needs to be explored by some new players.
And guys, just think about it like this. I mean, we're buying Lock Jewel here damn near all-time low in prices, right? And that's good. You never want to buy at all-time highs, guys. This is why I'm not chasing Crystal right now. I'm
Yeah.
not introducing new capital to buy Crystal right now. I don't buy things at all-time high prices. I don't chase them when they're at all-time high prices. And heroes in Lock Jewel are at an all-time low value right now, and that's when smart people buy. These are buys right now. The heroes, the lock jewel. Don't chase the crystal. Don't chase the Crystalvale Gardens if you're new and you're not already have a sizable stack. Go after this lock jewel. Go after the heroes. Have a longer term vision than everybody else, and I think you'll do well.
Yeah, I want to say that we saw people in our Discord, and I just want to say, man, our Discord has just been lighting up this week.
It's lit in there.
It's been phenomenal. Just hearing everybody's strategy, everybody sharing what they're doing. It's just so interesting to see all the different perspectives and everybody helping each other in the Discord. But we saw people take these airdrop crystals, flip them, sell them, and then they're buying the gold eggs. They're buying heroes at mining heroes at low prices, and These could be winning decisions here. These gold eggs, could be extremely lucrative once hatching exists. Of course, it's speculative, but you know, it's free money that you got, and why not put it on a speculative asset that could return massive value? And so
Yeah, I agree.
just some of the plays.
So, I mean, you mentioned eggs and stuff. We want to get into the beautiful map. I'm going to showcase it in all its glory on the screen for us, for you guys viewers. Now, what are your guys' favorite features? I think we were all surprised, and we knew the art team and the design team were amazing already, but wow, I mean, it shocked me. Do you? I know, Agentic, you mentioned that you potentially think the cradle could be a birthplace for the eggs. Do you want to jump in on that?
Sure, and I got that idea from Squanch, by the way.
Okay,
Squanch was
okay.
the one. Yeah,
Sorry.
Squanch told me it. No, but it's okay. I relayed it on the show sheet and wrote it down. But yeah, that was actually Squanch's theory. Yeah, it appears at the cradle. The centerpiece of the game here. Really beautiful art with the tree and the dragon snake thing coiled around it. Yeah. Um, I think it's definitely going to be a place where summoning occurs, but it looks like we may end up doing one of our first storyline quests here. Because if you click the dragon, you have to prove yourself before you can enter the cradle. Um, and it also looks like it could just be a natural place where you bring the eggs to hatch. Possibly, maybe it does both. Maybe it hatches the eggs, and maybe it's a summoning place. I don't know. Maybe it's one or the other. But it seems like that this is going to be the first mainline storyline quest where we're going to have to do something to prove ourselves, for our heroes to prove themselves, to do whatever they need to do at the cradle. It's very intriguing, and it only makes me more bullish on the game, because it's going to be exciting whenever they unlock what we have to do. I mean, Twitter's going to be buzzing. People are going to be, and I just want to say thank God this will be on the DFK chain that runs way smoother than the Harmony chain, and I want to get into that later. But the Harmony chain has really been letting players down with all the new congestion. What do you think, Squanch?
My
You're
bad,
on
I was
mute.
on mute there. Yeah. Dude, no, definitely. I think here's my theory about the cradle place. It's, well, I think the hint is right there. The cradle. I mean, come on. When my eggs hatch, I'm gonna want to put them in a cradle. They're my babies. But I think you're gonna have to have a higher level hero before you're allowed to start hatching your egg. Just a theory. We'll see. But I'm pretty confident here. You're gonna have to have a hero that's reached some level. I don't know if it's a profession level or the actual level on the front of the card. But I think you're gonna have to have met some milestones before you can hatch your eggs. But that's just my theory. What do you think, Mega?
Yeah, I think it's a great theory. Didn't even really think about even just the name overall, the cradle. That's genius. Definitely leads me to believe that we could see some hatching or it did initially to me. I thought it was going to be a hero summoning eventually down the road, but I think the egg
Could
theory
be.
here is growing on me a little more. Um, Now overall the map is just phenomenal. Um, there's so many little hidden Easter eggs. I mean, there's so many more clickable things as well. It seems versus Serendale. I know Serendale's a little bigger now, but just on initial launch, there's so much, so many little animations that are just clever and make you
Mhm.
just make it fun and enjoyable. But there's also a lot of potential for mini games, and we're gonna get into a little bit about potential future quests as well that we think some NPCs on the map that potentially could turn into hero quests and such. Um, there's along the lines of in the ice gardens. There's a race, a little guy at the bottom, Matthias, who wants to race in the water, tug of war in the docks. You got log rolling in the docks. Um, some game of taffle There's a guy in the marketplace, I believe it is. I was trying to play a game called Tafl, Tafl. I'm not familiar. If anyone is, comment down below. But just a lot of different stuff that I'm excited for. And I truly wonder, because of, even though it's a subnet, it is our own chain, and Joule is is the gas token here. So I wonder if there is going to be a shift in focus. I know the team has said that they're both equally focused on Crystalvale and Sarandel. Maybe they have divided teams that are working on them both. I'm sure they come together on certain things, but I fully think that they could shift focus to this chain, because down the road you're going to want more players here, and with Joule as the gas, I think it's only right. But that's for a separate topic. We're kind of focusing on the map here. What do you guys think? What's your guys' favorite features? Do you guys want to dive into the other quests we were talking about before the podcast?
Well, I think what we were talking about sounds like a lot of fun with the potential new quests, hunting, maybe cattle ranching as profession quests. It does seem they've introduced those bison animal, bull looking animals. Maybe those will be in-game items that you can get or hunt, like the fish. But yeah, we can't just live a pescatarian diet here, and our heroes, they need meat. So there's got to be some hunting that's going on. We got to get some red meat for our heroes. And I see hunting probably being one of them. Archers being good hunters as well. So we'll see how it plays out, or how exactly they introduce these new quests. But man, I'm excited to see what they do. And I hope there's hunting, and I hope we can collect some red meat.
Yeah, just to add on to that, when it comes to the possible speculation here of the hunting and cattle ranching or cattle herding profession quests in Crystalvale, there's going to have to be a new profession genealogy, right? So we're going to need green for hunting, and we're going to need green for cattle herding. Uh, in my opinion, this is speculation, but you're going to have the new heroes, the seer and the berserker, in whatever advanced class. They're going to have the profession genealogies for hunting and cattle herding, and the incentive to mate them with Sarandel heroes is to get those Sarandel heroes to, with random number generation, to have genealogies with hunting and cattle herding. So this is going to incentivize the crossbreeding of Sarandale and CV heroes, in my speculative opinion. And like with hunting, you're going to see, I think, maybe like dex and strength be the two attributes that contribute to hunting. And then in cattle herding, maybe it's, I have no idea what it could be, agility and strength or something like that. And even though the seer, for example, may have the genealogy for hunting, for their profession quest, they're not necessarily going to be the best hunters. They may not be skilled in dex and strength. So it'd be advantageous to breed them with, a dark knight or an archer or a thief, and see what kind of hero you can have that may have the better alignment with skills and, profession genealogy. And then I think the other clickables, like I think there's going to be mini games, because the team has talked about this. They want there to be something to do between, questing and waiting for the stamina for your quests. And they were talking about introducing mini games, and they even talked about some of the, at least one of these mini games being on the Matic chain. So I definitely think there's going to be a number of. It looks like there's going to be a number of mini games. The Taffle or game that we mentioned, the tug of war, log rolling, swim racing. So, I don't know what the rewards will be for those, or if there's any experience or whatnot. But it's very interesting. It's very intriguing. it's a great talking point until they actually unleash something. And this makes me wonder what kind of things are like going to be like this in Serendale. The only thing I can think of in Serendale for like the gaming mini game aspect is with the Jester. But they're going to add mini games in Serendale if they're going to do it here in Crystalvale too. You got any closing thoughts on this, Mega?
Yeah, you would definitely think we would see more like NPCs other than just the jester in the castle over in Sarandale, but these are all super exciting. Just gives you yet another thing to look forward to as they expand, and just give you overall more things to do, and especially more things to do with your hero NFTs, which is amazing. More utilities should only drive the price up for especially rare and powerful heroes. So I love the idea of we need some red meat, we need some meat overall. We got the fish, we got foraging type items, and not a lot of food and foraging, but the fish especially. As of now, that's their only potential avenue to go for food or maybe health or for feeding pets is one of our household theories here by Squanch for the bull case for the bloaters, which I think is awesome. But yeah, I think this is super interesting to think about. Now, if they did have like different professions, would the card potentially look different? Would you have a set of four, or would they just kind of have like a little tab to shift over and have new professions? That that intrigues me. We'll have to see what they come out with. But
On top of that, I just want to real quick give credit where I heard that theory about the crossbreeding, the incentive to crossbreed between Crystalvale and Serendale heroes, and for the profession genealogy. I got that alpha from the Adventures in DeFi Kingdom podcast with Nine Dwarf and Ralph. I would highly recommend, and if anybody follow their channel, they're a great listen. I just want to give credit where I heard that idea. So anyway, sorry, Mega.
no,
I
you're
just
good
wanted to
for
give
sure. So many good podcasts in the space. Such a great community overall. Just passionate about the game, and I love to see it. So unless you guys wanted to touch on more on the map or potential quests or mini games, we can move on. Is that okay with you guys?
yeah, it's fine with me.
Perfect, perfect.
Heck yeah.
All right. So next up, I know it's just beautiful to see our own subnet. It's amazing to see. Now, in future expansions, I think it's only, as they've proved twice now, that it's a successful launch. It's a bullish launch, I think, in most cases, especially if you were early in Serendale and got the chance to basically repeat it twice here in Crystalvale. Now, they announced, I believe, Dreamer on a stream, I think it was. Don't quote me on this, but they announced they're potentially building more subnets on other chains. Should we still be concerned with Matic? Is there another chain that we think could pass them up faster or become the third expansion for this beautiful game, DeFi Kingdoms? What do you guys think?
So I think they have had a learning experience from Harmony, to be honest. We all saw during this Crystalvale launch and the launch of the Crystalvale, or the airdrop of Crystal, it was extremely frustrating to do anything on Harmony, but things seem to run really smoothly on the DFK chain in Crystalvale. Myself and many others, if you just go on Twitter or look in our Discord, they were extremely frustrated with how the loading times on Harmony. There was taking 2.5 hours, 3 hours to quest. It was taking 30 minutes to just do a swap. The team has to do something to enhance the Harmony network for sure. But I think this is going to build the case where the team is just going to build their own subnets on all their other expansion chains, and we won't necessarily have to worry about the other chains performing poorly, because the team is just, they're not going to let this game fail because the chains can't hold up. That's my opinion. Your thoughts, Squanch?
Agree. I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. They're learning, and they learned from Harmony, and now that this new subnet technology is coming out, and I think AVAX is leading the way on that. I think that's an exciting new innovation in crypto and NFT gaming, and I think our team, the devs of DeFi Kingdoms, are at the forefront of that innovation, and that's why this project is going so far. So I have to agree with you. I'm not concerned with the speed of any of these chains, as these are just growing pains and part of being here early. I think it'll all straighten out. The game will be totally functional and playable and across all chains. And if we can continue innovating and using this subnet technology, man, this game's going to be even more fun than it already is.
For sure. I think patience is key. I don't think we should rush at all any new expansions. I think they should take their time with deals or whatever behind the scenes that they have to find the right expansions, the right companies, the right projects to team with, and every time they come up with a new thing or new expansion, they execute perfectly, in my opinion. Might not be exactly perfect, might have a few flaws, bumps in the road, but they improve. They adapt, which I think is the biggest part about their team. They're always open for change. Doesn't matter how big, how small, they're going to figure it out, which is awesome. And just makes us even more bullish, I think, every time we talk about the team. Just bright spots all over. So amazing to see. I don't really have any specific chains. I saw some comments on the last few videos about Phantom is a great one that we could potentially see. Matic, I mean, for the most part, always diversify as far as like your investments. Of course, not financial advice. Do your own research, but diversification is always good. So, I mean, if you do think some of these chains, any funds besides the ones you throw into DeFi Kingdoms, of course, however you allocate your savings or whatever. But if you are thinking that some of these chains might be in the future, I mean, it's not a bad idea to potentially double down on your conviction and throw into some new chains like Matic and just expose yourself to more in the crypto space. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But of course, nothing's set in stone yet. No third expansion to our knowledge, and time will tell. I don't think there's any rush. I think we're having a lot of fun on Crystalvale, which is absolutely phenomenal. So we'll touch on eggs here yet again. Our amazing data specialist here at Gentic wants to go over a little bit about how the data maybe doesn't specifically line up with the docs. I know mining came out a little later, but still, it seems like mining eggs are the least dropped currently. Maybe varying from the docs a little bit. Do you want to get into that, Agentic?
Yeah, so real quick, I want to do a caveat before I go into the data here. When I joined the game, mining was already a quest. I had all 4 profession quests, so I am not sure when mining actually became a quest compared to all the others. With that being said, I'm just going. I think it came out, shortly after gardening, but I am not 100% sure on that. But there is the myth and the legend that the yellow egg is more rare than all the other eggs that you can find questing. And according to the DeFi Kingdom docs, that should not be the case, because the DeFi Kingdom docs shows per stamina, all the eggs are equally as rare. And we would expect to see similar drop rates of the yellow egg to the green to the gray to the blue. And I know fishing and foraging came out first, so we would expect there to be more of those eggs out there in circulation compared to gardening and the yellow egg. But I'm going to propose that we should probably see more yellow eggs than green eggs if they came out at the same time, roughly, because the yellow egg, or the people can group mine. You can send 6 heroes out into one mining task, and then you can send another 6 out for jewel mining tasks, right? So you can essentially have 12 heroes quest at once, and if you have that many heroes, and the odds of them getting a yellow egg increase substantially. Where in gardening, you can only use one hero per pool, and the returns are typically not as lucrative in gardening as they are in mining, depending on how big your gardens are, I guess, and how much lockjaw you have. But just based on that assumption, we would expect to see, at least close to an even amount of green eggs and yellow eggs. What the data actually suggests, if we're going to throw up a link to this website that has this data. Somebody dropped it in Discord. I think it was Squanch that showed it, that dropped it in Discord. Yellow egg is about twice as rare. The drop, there's twice as many in circulation of the green, blue, and gray egg as there is to the yellow egg, and that's an extreme difference. It seems like if there was even drop rate, we would not have that huge disparity. That is far beyond just natural error. So I don't know if maybe there was there's some mess up with the write up on the docs where the yellow egg is actually supposed to be more rare, or maybe it's some coding situation, or maybe mining started way later in gardening and I'm just not aware. But that's just kind of, I thought that data point was interesting.
It is interesting, and when you look at the egg numbers, the yellow eggs, there's far less. There's far less, and even less than the yellow eggs or the gold eggs. So people are not willing to buy their own egg. They'd rather quest for it. But that's okay. That's where the jewelers see opportunity in the gold eggs. Also, with these yellow eggs, I mean, whether it's they're coming, whether it's they have a lower drop rate, whether it has to do with the release date, all that really doesn't matter. All that we need to know is that they're more rare than the other ones. There's less supply of those right now currently, and that makes them a little bit more valuable, right? There's more scarcity to it. So I also think that, like miners, those the most sought after profession. I think the yellow eggs are going to be the most sought after eggs. Reason being is because I think they're going to supplement your miners. You attach that pet, your little yellow, that comes out of the yellow egg. You attach it to your miner. They come back with a little bit more locked jewel for you or gold for you, depending on what you're mining. And I think, like the mining heroes, they have a premium on them. I think with the pets, I think the yellow eggs and the pets that hatch from the yellow eggs are going to have a little premium on them too. So just some speculation there, but pretty confident that that's the route it's going to go. But nonetheless, that data is interesting. If anybody has answers to that, hop in our Discord, let us know, or comment on this video. Let us know why there's such a disparity between the yellow eggs and the rest of them, because I want more yellow eggs.
And like if you go to third-party sites, the value of the eggs, it even shows that the yellow egg is it's about $200 more than all the others. So
I was looking at Fox Escrow today. I was going to buy an egg, convert some of the crystal rewards and go buy an egg. And man, I ended up buying a hero instead. But yeah, I was definitely looking at the yellow eggs, and I'll probably end up purchasing one. It's just kind of hard to spend 500 USDC on it, because that's about what they are, between 400 and 500 right now. So, and that egg floor is thin. You buy a couple gold eggs, and the floor forms like 750 USDC. So,
Jeez.
Obviously, we're not the only ones speculating on this, and a lot of people are ahead of the game on that.
Yeah, so it's even reflected in the price on these third-party marketplaces and such. Get yourself eggs. I'm big on the gold ones as well. Of course, you can't really control the other eggs, so get the ones you could potentially control. Invest in what's to come. I mean, it's inevitable. We have pets coming soon. There's got to be a reason that the gold eggs are a little shinier. Obviously they're gold, but still, I mean, I think it's a safe bet to say that those are going to be some valuable ones as well. I have no idea the exact timeline when mining, gardening dropped. I do think mining was last, but yeah, I still think, regardless of the timeline, I think mining is still not dropping as much as the other ones. Another thing I want to bring up is the fact that I noticed this in the Discord, actually looking out for the launch and stuff over the last couple days. I've been more active in the overall DeFi Kingdoms, or just kind of scouting out the DeFi Kingdoms Discord, and I noticed a few people mention that they didn't even know how to mine. They didn't know how to get to the beta. They weren't even familiar that we had a beta. It could just be lack of them checking the Discord. Like they're new, but seeing a few cases of that, I was surprised honestly that I mean if you're checking the game every day, of course you're probably familiar, but players that maybe don't check all the time or just have bought in and just kind of let their funds sit or are new overall, they don't even know about the beta yet. I thought that was really surprising, so that could add into a little bit of, it's probably small sample size, but still, I really wonder how many people know that there is a beta that houses gardening and mining and it's still not active on just the regular game.defi kingdoms site. So, but yeah, I
That's
think
a good
that
point.
I th- I think that's all we had to cover on the egg topic. Do you guys have any other final thoughts that want to throw in?
One more thing. Well, we got one more topic after this, but guys, all the people who went all in bloaters with me, man, it's not looking good for us right now, but we'll be okay. Wait for the eggs portion to come out. That's when you're gonna see the price of bloaters go up. Speculating, of course, and of course I didn't go all in bloaters, but I did buy some. But that's more of what I'm looking for it to come up. I will say, like, I didn't anticipate the value of all the inventory in the game and all the gold and everything you can earn from questing to go down so drastically, but it makes sense. Everybody's liquidating everything because they're FOMOing into these gardens. So, um, hey, average in, buy some more bloaters. I'm telling you, it's an easy play.
For
I'm
sure.
only
Stampot.
halfway joking. Only halfway joking.
Yeah, Stampots too are at an all-time low if anybody's interested in that due to everybody
Ooh.
liquidating everything.
Ooh. Ooh. I will
So
say one more thing. I did go sweep the floor today on Fox Escrow. I bought lesser tuna, or not a tournament, but lesser might crystals, lesser endurance crystals, and I was buying all those level up crystals. There,
mhm.
any of them that were listed below $7, I just went ahead and bought. I think that's a good value for those, and I think that's another thing we can take advantage of here while everybody's dumping in game items.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, you always got to be looking out for other avenues. I mean, wherever it's at, heroes are ultimately, I think, going to be the most useful asset in the game. I mean, they're going to be the ones that really make this game feel like a game. To me, it already feels like a game. I think a lot of others realize what this is going to be, regardless of if I'm actually playing or have any. I mean, we only really have questing and another few things that heroes can do at the current moment, but still it feels like a game. But PvP is going to make that more real, and of course you want to make sure your heroes are as strong as possible getting into that. And when there's discounts like this, when other people are looking that way, like Squanch said last podcast, when they zig, you zag. So you know, always be looking at other avenues to improve your portfolio overall. But we want to touch
Yeah,
on. Go on. I'm sorry.
real quick, I wanted to point out that Dags in our Discord, shout out to Dags, he was posting mythics that are selling for 249, 250 jewel. I couldn't believe it when I saw those prices in the tavern. I don't have the liquidity on hand unless I wanted to remove things out of the gardens, which I don't, to buy those heroes. But what a buying opportunity for mythics right now.
Legendaries too. I scooped up a legendary thief miner damn near floor price today at 135. Floor price for legendaries. So, I told you guys last podcast, oh, I have too many heroes, I can't buy anymore, but I'd be buying them if I could. Well, Crystal Airdrop got a little extra liquidity. Definitely went and bought a new thief miner. And just like anybody else, I'm pretty sure I'm bullish here on miners, just for the long term.
I'd have to agree. Yeah, a lot of value in that tavern right now. A lot of people just trying to liquidate still. Want to find an entry spot into these high APRs, whatever their option is. They're just liquidating or getting rid of trimming their hero size. So find those deals, keep those hunting eyes open, and keep building that portfolio for you guys yourselves. Now we'll move into security. Some things about an incident that happened in the community, um, as well as just overall tips and how to keep your portfolio safe. I think for me personally, I don't have much to say on this topic other than um, only use contracts that you're familiar with, projects that are reputable, maybe have been around for a little bit if that's what it takes. Always a risk in entering new projects, new contracts. If it looks too good to be true, sometimes it is. So just keep yourself safe out there. Of course, don't give your 12-word phrases to anyone. There's methods, other methods that you can get into as well, but just stay safe out there. Make sure you're reading the MetaMask contracts, or at least scanning them, making sure it doesn't say anything that looks funky or new or something you're not familiar with. Stay safe. Keep your funds safe. This is all hard-earned money. At the end of the day, we all work for, I'm sure, everything we have. So just keep yourself safe. Stay vigilant, and yeah, that's really all I got to say about security.
Yeah, check that URL bar up there. Make sure you're on the right site. If you're typing it in and you misspell DeFi Kingdoms, they have scam sites. So that will ask for approval, and then they'll have approval to your tokens, and then your tokens are vulnerable if you don't have a hardware wallet. But I've got a few things here I want to say in security. I've lost 25K before in the cream hack. So I've been vulnerable. I've been hacked. Well, I wasn't necessarily hacked. The DeFi protocol I was staking my tokens on was hacked, and just we saw it with Axes too. Nothing's ever safe here in DeFi. This is what we do. So always be responsible. I say that, but my whole net worth is in DeFi Kingdoms. So take that for what it's worth. But I just want to highlight Ogre, man. I look up to him, and just the way he handled this, and the amount of money he lost. I can only hope to be as happy as he is, and not let the amount of money he lost affect him at all. It was truly amazing to watch him go through that and his response to it. It certainly puts things in perspective, and man, I can only hope to be as humble and as good as that guy is coming out on the other side. So big props to Ogre going through all that. After he shared what happened with him, guys, I was guilty. I mean, guys, I had 6 figures plus running on just a MetaMask wallet, no hardware wallet, no more. I have a ledger, and I just wasn't using it, so I transferred all my funds over to a new address. I'm using the ledger. Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's really not that big of a deal compared to what could have happened to me. So, big wake up call. Guys, just move it over. Just freaking do it. You never know what can happen to you, and the ledger will keep you protected. Even if you do accidentally approve a bad contract, guess what? Whoever hacked you or has your information, they need your ledger with them physically. So even if they hack you, they still can't take your funds. Even if they get your MetaMask password, that's irrelevant. They still can't take your funds if you have a hardware wallet. Me and Agentic will actually probably follow up with everybody on the podcast about this, because he's got a Trezor wallet and I've got a Ledger, right? I've had my Ledger for years. So we'll do some comparisons and which one works better with DeFi Kingdoms. I think that'll be some good content for everybody. But that's definitely something we're looking at. And, just take your security seriously, and just know being hacked is not fun. When I woke up to see my 25K drained, I was devastated. Luckily, I've got good friends around me. Shout out to, my brother, Weasel, DJ and Diddy, a few other people out there who were TJ, who were there for me when I lost all those funds. So been nothing but a comeback ever since. But man, I don't want anyone to ever have to go through anything like that. So be careful and just know your money is always at risk with what we're doing here.
Yeah, and I want to just expand a little bit on that. I haven't lost any money in any kind of scam, luckily, in crypto. But as soon as what happened to Ogre dropped, for those that don't know, he lost around $50 million. His liquidity pools were drained. His inventory was drained. The only thing they didn't drain was his heroes. But once I guess you get 20, or $50 million, why even bother, liquidating the heroes? But anyway, as soon as what happened to Ogre came out, he did an interview with Climb Crypto, and on his channel. And Ogre's number one advice, he says, that could have prevented this is if he had his funds on a hardware wallet, which he did not. And obviously hindsight's 2020, and he regrets it. But just like as soon as this happened, I'm guilty. I did not have my funds on a hardware wallet. I went out and ordered a Trezor. The exact day this happened, as soon as Ogre, mentioned this, his loss is our gain, in that we can learn from his loss, and that the 50 million Joule, 50 million USDC in Joule, or US dollars in Joule, that is going to be burned. So it was blacklisted. So he's even giving to the community and after being hacked, which is going to, that Joule being burned is obviously going to help keep the value of Joule up higher. But yeah, just don't be. The Trezor was only like $70. Like, that's such a small price to pay to secure your portfolio.
Yeah, do it. Just keep yourself safe. At the end of the day, it's a new space. It's a lot of new things, and sadly enough, there's always going to be hackers, always going to be people looking to take the easy route and steal what other people have worked for. So just keep yourself safe so you don't have anything to regret. Um, and that's that. Now, if you guys have, I know we're at about a minute, or excuse me, an hour and 5 minutes. If we could take about a little bit longer to just get this topic, and then we'll finish up. Topic just came in the Discord. We love to, of course, talk about ideas that our Discord and our jewelers want to hear about. So, how do we think the team is going to make sure both tokens have potentially an equal amount of utility? With, of course, 1/4 of the supply of crystal versus jewel. How are summoning costs gonna vary, and just overall, what do we think about this?
Oh man, this is a really, 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 really strong and good question. I've been thinking about this while I'm on the shitter or in the shower. And I'm like, well, what's the ratio of Jewel going to be to Crystal? Like, what's it going to be? I mean, there's a lot of people who speculated it'll eventually be 1-to-1, which that's probably, I don't know. It's tough to say because, like he pointed out, there's 1/4 of the supply. So shouldn't it be, if it's going to be 1-to-1, Jewel, wouldn't that make Crystal undervalued? Shouldn't Crystal sit at 4x of what Jewel is, since it's, like, how are we going to value this? Um, it's tough to say. That's a tough question, and I guess my answer is we need more information. We need more data. We need to know how many people are going to be using this DFK chain versus Sarandel. We need to figure out, okay, what are people? What are the incentives to summon on Crystalvale? Is it those gene profession new lines of genes that Agentic was talking about earlier? There's a whole world out there of possibilities of how this could work. But, we like to speculate, and I like to throw out predictions because I don't mind being wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of what I say. So whatever. But I think we could see Crystal settle at like 2x of what Jewel is, give or take, over the long term. Because I think that the DFK chain will be more desirable. I do think that people will. I think that the Avalanche chain is going to pass up the Harmony chain, so I wouldn't be more surprised to see Crystal settle at a higher value than Jewel.
I'm going to be a little contrarian to that take. So the devs have stated in AMAs that they expect Crystal and Jewel to level out to be 1-for-1, and they have stated that Sarandel is going to be the centerpiece of the game. And first of all, I believe they're going to fix the Harmony network. Whether they build a sub network on Harmony or whatever, they're going to fix it, because they're not going to let the Harmony network be the fall of this game. They're just not going to do it. This dev team is too smart. They're too bright, and they address problems and adapt all the time. Also, they're going to be able to kind of influence prices of these power tokens by incentivizing quests in certain realms, right? So they've even said in some AMAs or live streams that main storyline quests will be done in multiple realms. So if they want to level out the crystal price, well, then they say, okay, we need to increase the amount of quests that need to be done in Serendel or whatever expansion chain in the future, and then people will have to liquidate some crystal to go on, to go into that realm or onto that chain and do the quests there. So I think there is a plan that these devs have to kind of level out the pricing of these power tokens. That's my opinion. And real quick, Mega, there is one more topic that me and Squanch want to cover before we finish up here.
Most
And
definitely.
it shouldn't take too long. But what are your thoughts, Mega?
Yeah, I think one great part about that question from Frank NB in the Discord is the fact that he mentions equal utility. Now, I don't think at all parts of the game in our timeline that they will have equal utility, but I do think both, as we can already see, will have a solid bit of utility. I think the point that you mentioned, them improving Harmony, whether it be by creating a subnet, allowing that to happen, or just overall working with the Harmony team to allow more speed and security and volume to enter the space. I think Serendale will be home, always will be home, and they want to house more on Serendale overall. But I think overall, in terms of numbers, short term, I think Crystal will kind of remain, whether it be because of arbitrage or whatever. I think Crystal will kind of sit around the 3 times range for a little bit. Um, of course, not financial advice, but you never you never know. I mean, there's a lot to consider, and I think it is a waiting game. But I do see why eventually it could be a 1-to-1 ratio, but just in the short term, at least, I still seen it be closer to 3 crystal per every jewel in terms of price. But that's just theory. Don't really have much to base it on other than what I'm seeing in the market and the game overall. But to close this out, episode 4 here of the Jewelers podcast. It was another great one filled with a bunch of information, a lot of topics that we got to. I'm super stoked about Crystalvale, as I know you two are. I just want to give a quick shout out to all our jewelers in the Discord. You guys are amazing. Always keeping it lively, always keeping it fun, keeping it real, and discussing strats and what we're doing, what we're buying, how we're approaching new stages of the game, and it's just awesome. Join that Discord, become a jeweler today. Down below, the link will be there for you. Of course, all our Twitters will be down below as well. I have Agentic State Guildmaster of the Jewelers speaking with me today. Squanch, of course, amazing input as always. Amazing alpha as always. His Twitter will be down below as well. My Twitter will be down below as well. Like this video for us, please. Subscribe to the channel as well so you can catch all our new videos. And I hope you guys have an absolutely phenomenal day in the kingdom. Take care.
Wait, before we go, one more
we
topic.
we promised some alpha at the very beginning of the show. We haven't dropped yet.
I'm sorry. Finish up with the alpha.
Oh.
Let's go. I apologize for jumping the gun there.
Hey, this is an exclusive for the ones who hang out past or two all the way through the video. So this is the secret cut at the end of the.
Perfect.
Of the, do you want to open this up, Agentic? Because I know where you're going.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So if you want, Mega, you can open up the gardens for CV. And what we'll see here is we're going to notice, which I thought was odd at first, is that the APR and the emissions rate are it's either the highest or tied with the highest with Crystal USDC. Okay, and it just doesn't make sense with what happened on Serendale with the dual USDC pool having, just your emissions that are similar to ETH or BTC, but not Jewel 1. Well, there were people in the community that were really concerned about how tight the relationship is with Jewel 1, or with Jewel and the Harmony token, and how closely they move together. There's a very strong positive relationship. is something to be concerned about, because what it indicates is that the project's portfolio isn't diverse enough, and that it is way too much Harmony One is being held inside the project's portfolio, because when one token moves, the other moves. And some people in the community were saying that they either needed to start disincentivizing the Jewel One pool in Serendale to be lower rewards to match the others, or they needed to up the Jewel USDC rewards in Serendale. Well, the genius that the dev team is they were like, nah, we're not going to mess up the APRs in Serendale. What we're going to do is we're just going to make the Crystal USDC pool one of the most lucrative in Crystalvale, and we're going to diversify our portfolio with stables by incentivizing people to convert to stables and provide the liquidity over there, therefore diversifying their overall project portfolio. And it's such a freaking genius move, man. These devs, every single bump in the road, they just pivot and just go right over it, man. It just every time it's just they're incredible. Your thoughts, Squanch?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of concern with like why is the one Harmony pool the most incentivized? And I think the team is doing right by making sure that the stablecoin pairings have the highest incentive. It's the healthiest, and it's going to lead to deeper liquidity across chain. That's the bottom line, and I think that's what they want to accomplish is deep liquidity across multiple chains. That's the most bullish outcome, and they can achieve so through stablecoin pairings a lot better than Harmony One Jewel pairings. So I think that's where all that stems from. And yeah, the let's face it, man. Harmony One, yeah, they gave Jewel a start and they invested some money, so that's probably why it was the highest incentivized pool off the jump. But we'll see. I know AVAX gave Jewel several $1 million as well for the subnet and things like that. So a lot of people are speculating that the actual Crystal AVAX pool might get a little AVAX rewards too. We'll see how they do that, but I like that approach better rather than just emitting more Jewel or Crystal, right? Let's emit some AVAX in there too, right? So kind of protect our token from inflation a little bit. But it's super interesting topic that has been in the community, and I guess me and Agentic seem to be like team stables over here. Let's get more stable coin pairings and let's incentivize those.
For sure. I love the stablecoin pairings. I think, other than, of course, like you mentioned, I do think I've heard that as well, where we potentially could get some AVAX rewards from that Crystal AVAX pool, which would be phenomenal. Um, just another step in the right direction, of course. Just more rewards, more safe pools that just seem to keep printing for us, and it's amazing to see. Love that we finished up with this alpha topic for our viewers. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on? I'm sorry I keep jumping the gun here.
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's
No, that's it.
such a great episode. It's a lot of content, and I'm glad we brought it today.
For
Heck
sure.
yeah. Shout out to the jewelers and everybody in our Discord, man. I'm feeling grateful after this crystal airdrop. I'm super happy to be where I am and to be with all of you. So, looking forward to being even more involved with the community as we go forward.
And if anybody wants any topics that they want covered specifically, drop it in the comments, drop it in our Discord, and we'll definitely read it and consider it for the show.
For sure. I might as well make a separate channel for us in there to get topics throughout the week and before we do make that next episode, because I love just the input and answering questions that our specific jewelers want to hear is always awesome. So another great episode in the books, guys. Thank you as always to Squanchy and Agentic State. You've been wonderful. My name's Mega. We are the guild masters of this amazing guild, the Jewelers. Looking forward to the next episode. As more content comes out, like this one came just a week out from our last episode, we'll try to get another weekly one if possible, if we have enough content. There's a lot to cover, in all honesty, so we very well may be able to, as long as our schedules align, of course. But it has been amazing. Thank you to all our viewers. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course, to see our our new content coming out as it comes. But other than that, I want to thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful day in the kingdom. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.